There's a quiet strength in the way Marcus Aurelius once wrote. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. These words, spoken centuries ago, still resonate deeply today because they point to something timeless: the ability to remain calm, confident, and unforgettable, no matter what life throws your way. But how do we achieve that kind of unshakable presence in a world that feels constantly chaotic? How do we cultivate a mindset that not only endures but thrives under pressure? The answer lies in Stoic philosophy, a set of principles that, when applied, can transform the way we navigate life's challenges. In this video, we'll explore 3 key pillars of Stoic wisdom: calmness, confidence, and presence. These aren't just abstract ideas, they're practical tools that can help you stand out, stay grounded, and leave a lasting impression. Whether you're facing a difficult conversation, a high-stakes presentation, or just the daily grind of life, Stoicism offers a roadmap to becoming the best version of yourself. So let's dive in and uncover how these ancient teachings can shape your modern life. How often do you let external events dictate your emotions? It's a question worth asking because more often than not, we allow the chaos of the world around us to dictate how we feel. Stoicism offers a powerful antidote to this emotional turbulence: the practice of cognitive detachment. At its core, this isn't about suppressing your emotions or pretending everything is fine. Instead, it's about recognizing what's truly within your control and letting go of the rest. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, put it simply: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This idea is the foundation of Stoic calmness. It's about shifting your focus from the uncontrollable, what others say, how they act, or the curveballs life throws, to the one thing you can always control: your response. Epictetus, another pillar of Stoic thought, takes this a step further. He reminds us it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Think about that for a moment. When you're stuck in traffic, or someone criticizes you unfairly, or a project at work goes sideways, your reaction is where your power lies. You can't always change the situation, but you can choose how you engage with it. This is the essence of inner peace, finding stillness within, even when the world feels like a storm. Let's make this practical. Imagine you're in a high-pressure meeting and a colleague questions your ideas in front of everyone. Your first instinct might be to react defensively, to let frustration or embarrassment take over. But what if instead you paused and reminded yourself, this moment isn't about me, their reaction is theirs, not mine? By detaching from the need to control their opinion or the outcome, you free yourself to respond with clarity and composure. This isn't just about avoiding conflict, it's about embodying a calm confidence that leaves a lasting impression. So here's a question to reflect on. What's one situation in your life this week where you could practice cognitive detachment? It might be a challenging conversation, a moment of uncertainty, or even a seemingly minor frustration. The key is to start small, to notice where you're giving away your power to external events, and to gently bring it back to where it belongs within you. This is the Stoic art of calmness, and it's a skill that grows stronger with practice. True confidence comes from within, not from external validation. It's a bold statement, but one that Stoicism has championed for centuries. While many of us chase approval, accolades, or recognition to feel secure, the Stoics remind us that real confidence is rooted in something far deeper: self-awareness and virtue. Seneca, one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." What he's pointing to here is the idea that confidence isn't about what you have or how others perceive you. It's about who you are at your core. It's about aligning your actions with your values and finding strength in your character, not your reputation. Think about it this way: when you base your self-worth on external factors like praise, likes, or social status, you're handing over your confidence to forces you can't control. The Stoics, however, teach us to focus on what's within our power, our choices, our integrity, and our commitment to living virtuously. Seneca put it beautifully: "He who is brave is also free." True confidence, then, is the freedom that comes from knowing you're living in alignment with your principles, regardless of what others think. Let's bring this into a modern context. Imagine you're about to give a presentation at work. You've prepared thoroughly, but as you step up to speak, you feel a wave of self-doubt. What if you mess up? What if people judge you? This is where Stoic confidence comes into play. Instead of worrying about external validation, how the audience will react or whether they'll approve, you shift your focus inward. You remind yourself, "I've done my best. My worth isn't determined by their opinions." By grounding yourself in your effort and intention, you step into a quieter, more unshakable kind of confidence. It's not about being perfect, it's about being authentic. So, here's a question to consider. What's one area of your life where you can focus on building inner confidence? Maybe it's in your relationships, your career, or even your personal growth. Start by identifying where you're seeking external validation, and then ask yourself, what would it look like to let go of that need and trust in my own character instead? This is the Stoic path to confidence, a journey that begins with self-awareness and grows through the steady practice of virtue. It's not about becoming fearless, it's about becoming grounded in who you are, no matter the circumstances. When was the last time you truly focused on the moment, not just going through the motions, but fully immersing yourself in what's happening right now? In a world filled with distractions, being present has become a rare skill, yet it's one of the most powerful ways to leave a lasting impression. Stoicism teaches us that presence isn't just about being physically there, it's about bringing your full attention and intention to every interaction. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reflected on the importance of living in the present. He wrote, "Concentrate every minute like a Roman, like a man on doing what's in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness." This isn't just poetic advice, it's a call to action. It's about showing up not just in body but in mind and spirit. Epictetus takes this idea further, emphasizing the role of attention. He said, "The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best." But here's the twist: it's not just about who you're with, it's about how you show up. When you're fully present, you become the kind of person who uplifts others. Think about it. Have you ever been in a conversation where the other person was clearly distracted, glancing at their phone or thinking about something else? How did that make you feel? Now, recall a time when someone gave you their undivided attention. How did that shift the dynamic? Being present isn't just a gift to yourself, it's a gift to others. It's how you become unforgettable. Let's break this down with an example. Imagine you're having a conversation with a friend who's sharing something important. Instead of half listening while scrolling through your phone or planning your response, you choose to be fully there. You listen not just to their words, but to the emotions behind them. You notice their tone, their body language, the pauses they take. This kind of mindful presence creates a connection that goes beyond the surface. It's not about saying the perfect thing, it's about being fully engaged in the moment. This is the Stoic art of presence, turning ordinary interactions into meaningful experiences. So here's a challenge for you. How can you practice being more present in your daily interactions? It could start with something as simple as putting your phone away during a meal or taking a deep breath before responding in a conversation. The goal isn't to be perfect, but to be intentional. Each moment you choose to be fully present, you're not just living more deeply, you're also creating ripples of impact that others will remember. This is the power of presence, and it's a skill that transforms not just how you show up in the world, but how the world shows up for you. The key to calmness lies in understanding what's truly within your power. This is the heart of Stoicism's dichotomy of control, a principle that can transform how you navigate life's challenges. Epictetus, one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, put it simply: some things are within our power while others are not. At first glance, this might seem obvious, but when you really sit with it, the implications are profound. The Stoics believed that much of our suffering comes from trying to control what we can't, while neglecting what we can. By learning to distinguish between the two, you free yourself from unnecessary stress and gain a sense of clarity and focus. Think about it this way: imagine you're stuck in traffic, running late for an important meeting. You can't control the cars ahead of you, the timing of the lights, or the fact that someone decided to merge without signaling. But what you can control is your reaction. You can choose to fume and stress, letting frustration take over, or you can take a deep breath, accept the situation, and use the time to prepare mentally for the meeting. This shift in perspective, focusing on your response rather than the external circumstance, is the essence of the dichotomy of control. It's not about giving up or being passive, it's about directing your energy where it matters most. Epictetus drives this point home with a powerful reminder: we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. This idea is liberating because it puts the power back in your hands. Instead of feeling like a victim of circumstance, you become an active participant in your own life. You start to see that your peace of mind doesn't depend on what happens to you, but on how you choose to engage with it. Let's apply this to a real-life scenario. Say you're at the airport and your flight gets delayed. You might feel frustrated, anxious, or even angry. But here's the question: will those emotions change the situation? Probably not. What you can control, however, is how you use that time. Maybe you catch up on work, read a book, or simply take a moment to relax. By focusing on what's within your power, you turn a potentially stressful situation into an opportunity. This is the Stoic mindset in action, finding calm in the midst of chaos by directing your attention to what you can influence. So here's something to reflect on. What's one thing you've been stressing over that's actually beyond your control? Is it a colleague's opinion, the weather, or maybe even the outcome of a situation you've done your best to prepare for? Take a moment to identify it and then ask yourself, how can I shift my focus to what's within my power? This simple act of redirection can bring a sense of calm and confidence, helping you navigate life's uncertainties with grace and resilience. How do you respond when life throws you a curveball? It's a question that reveals a lot about where we place our focus on the problem itself or the potential it holds. Stoicism offers a profound perspective here, one that shifts the way we see challenges entirely. At its core is the concept of Amor Fati, a Latin phrase that translates to love of fate. This isn't about blindly accepting hardship, it's about embracing every experience, good or bad, as an essential part of your journey. Friedrich Nietzsche, who was deeply influenced by Stoic thought, put it this way: my formula for greatness in a human being is Amor Fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. It's a radical idea, one that invites us to see obstacles not as setbacks but as stepping stones. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, echoed this sentiment in his writings. He said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Think about that for a moment. The very things that seem to block your path can actually propel you forward if you choose to see them that way. Imagine losing your job unexpectedly. At first, it might feel like a devastating blow, a disruption to your plans. But what if, instead of focusing on the loss, you saw it as an opportunity? What if it became the catalyst to pursue a long-dormant passion, to learn new skills, or to explore a career path you'd never considered before? This is the Stoic mindset in action, transforming adversity into advantage. Let's take this a step further. Consider a time when you faced a difficult situation, maybe a failed project, a broken relationship, or even a personal setback. How did you respond? Did you resist it, or did you find a way to grow from it? The Stoics remind us that every challenge carries a lesson, and every obstacle is an invitation to become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. It's not about pretending everything is perfect, it's about finding meaning in the imperfect. So, here's a question to reflect on. What's one challenge in your life right now that you can reframe as an opportunity? It might be something small, like a disagreement with a friend, or something larger, like a career transition. The key is to shift your perspective, to ask not "why is this happening to me?" but "what can I learn from this?" By embracing the Stoic principle of Amor Fati, you begin to see life's curveballs not as threats but as teachers. And in that shift, you'll find a deeper sense of resilience, one that helps you thrive no matter what comes your way. Confidence rooted in virtue is unshakable. It's not the kind of confidence that wavers with the opinions of others or fades when faced with adversity. Instead, it's a deep, enduring sense of self-assurance that comes from living in alignment with your core values. The Stoics believed that true confidence isn't something you can fake or borrow. It's something you cultivate by embodying the four cardinal virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. These virtues, as Seneca often wrote, are the foundation of a life well lived. He said, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future, not to amuse ourselves with either hopes or fears, but to rest satisfied with what we have, which is sufficient." What he's pointing to here is the idea that confidence isn't about external achievements or validation, it's about inner alignment. Let's break these virtues down. Wisdom is about making thoughtful, informed decisions. Courage is the strength to face challenges head-on, even when it's uncomfortable. Justice is treating others fairly and standing up for what's right. And temperance is about balance, knowing when to push forward and when to hold back. Together, these virtues create a framework for living with integrity. When you act with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, you're not just building confidence, you're building character, and that kind of confidence can't be shaken. Consider a modern example. Imagine you're in a workplace meeting and a colleague proposes an idea that you know is unethical. Speaking up might feel risky. It could create tension or even put your job on the line. But if you choose to stay silent, you're compromising your values. This is where Stoic confidence comes into play. By standing up for what's right, even when it's difficult, you're embodying the virtues of courage and justice. You might not win everyone's approval, but you'll walk away knowing you acted with integrity. And that's where real confidence comes from, not from being liked, but from being true to yourself. Seneca put it this way: "He who is brave is also free." When you live virtuously, you free yourself from the need for external validation. You stop looking to others for approval and start trusting in your own judgment. This is why Stoic confidence is so powerful. It's not dependent on circumstances. Whether you're facing a tough decision, a moral dilemma, or simply the ups and downs of daily life, your confidence remains steady because it's rooted in who you are, not what happens to you. So, here's a question to reflect on. How can you align your actions more closely with your values? It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. It might be as simple as speaking up when something feels off, or choosing kindness in a moment of frustration. Every small act of virtue strengthens your confidence, helping you become the kind of person who stands tall, no matter what life throws your way. This is the Stoic path to unshakable confidence, a journey that begins with living a life of integrity and grows with every choice you make. What if you woke up tomorrow and everything you take for granted was gone? Your health, your relationships, your career, all of it. It's a jarring thought, isn't it? Yet, this is exactly the kind of mental exercise the Stoics used to cultivate gratitude and resilience. They called it premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. At its core, it's not about dwelling on negativity or fearing the worst. Instead, it's a tool to help you appreciate what you have and prepare for life's uncertainties. Seneca, one of Stoicism's greatest thinkers, described it this way: he robs present ills of their power who has perceived their coming beforehand. In other words, by imagining what could go wrong, you're better equipped to handle it, and you're reminded to cherish what's right in front of you. Let's break this down. Imagine for a moment that you've lost something you deeply value, a loved one, your job, or even your health. How would you feel? What would you miss most? Now consider this. How often do you truly appreciate these things while you still have them? That's the power of negative visualization. It's not about living in fear, it's about living with awareness. By briefly contemplating loss, you awaken a deeper sense of gratitude for the present. Seneca put it beautifully: we should love all of our dear ones, but always with the thought that we have no promise that we may keep them forever. This isn't pessimistic, it's profoundly realistic. It's a reminder to hold life a little more gently, to savor it while it's here. Here's an example to bring this practice to life. Think about a close friend or family member you see regularly. Now, imagine they're no longer part of your life. How would that change your perspective? Would you regret not spending more time with them, not expressing how much they mean to you? This exercise isn't meant to make you sad. It's meant to inspire action. It's a call to reach out, to say what needs to be said, to show up more fully in the relationships that matter. That's the gift of negative visualization. It doesn't just prepare you for challenges, it enriches the life you're living right now. So here's a question to reflect on. What's one thing you're grateful for that you often overlook? It might be something as simple as your morning coffee, the ability to walk outside, or the sound of a loved one's laughter. Take a moment to really notice it, to let it sink in, because here's the truth: life is unpredictable, and the things we take for granted today might not always be there. By practicing negative visualization, you're not just bracing yourself for hardship, you're learning to live with your eyes wide open, to find joy in the ordinary, and to build a resilience that's rooted in gratitude. It's a practice that transforms not just how you face challenges, but how you experience every single day. No one enjoys being criticized, but Stoicism offers a way to handle it with dignity. At some point, we've all been on the receiving end of feedback that stings, whether it's a harsh comment from a colleague, a critique from a boss, or even an offhand remark from a friend. It's natural to feel defensive or hurt in those moments, but the Stoics remind us that criticism doesn't have to shake our confidence. In fact, when approached with the right mindset, it can become a tool for growth. The key lies in understanding where to place your focus, not on the opinions of others, but on your own judgment and response. Epictetus, one of Stoicism's most practical voices, put it this way: if anyone tells you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make excuses about what is said, but answer, "He was ignorant of my other faults, else he would not have mentioned these alone." At first glance, this might seem like a witty comeback, but it's much deeper than that. Epictetus is pointing to a fundamental truth: the opinions of others are beyond your control. What you can control is how you interpret and react to those opinions. Instead of letting criticism define you, you can choose to see it as an opportunity to reflect, to improve, or even to let go of the need for approval altogether. Let's make this tangible. Imagine you're at work and your manager points out a mistake in a project you've been working on. Your initial reaction might be to feel embarrassed or defensive. But what if instead you paused and asked yourself, is this feedback accurate? Is there something I can learn here? By shifting your focus from the criticism itself to what you can take from it, you turn a potentially uncomfortable situation into a chance for growth. This doesn't mean you have to agree with every critique or internalize negativity. It simply means you're choosing to respond with curiosity rather than resistance. So, here's a question to reflect on. How can you respond to criticism with calmness and confidence the next time it arises? It might help to remember that criticism often says more about the person giving it than the person receiving it. Perhaps they're projecting their own insecurities, or maybe they genuinely want to help you improve. Either way, your power lies in how you choose to engage with it. By focusing on your own judgments and actions rather than the opinions of others, you reclaim your sense of self-worth. This is the Stoic approach to criticism, not as a threat, but as an invitation to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. What's one habit you've been struggling to change? Maybe it's hitting the snooze button one too many times, reaching for your phone when you know you should be focusing, or putting off that project you've been meaning to start. We've all been there, facing the gap between what we want to do and what we actually do, and that's where self-discipline comes in. For the Stoics, self-discipline wasn't just about willpower, it was the cornerstone of a calm, confident, and intentional life. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, wrote extensively about this in his Meditations. He said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." At its core, self-discipline is about mastering your impulses, aligning your actions with your values, and taking control of your inner world, even when the outer world feels chaotic. Let's unpack this idea a bit further. The Stoics believed that self-discipline is the bridge between intention and action. It's the force that allows you to show up consistently, even when it's uncomfortable or inconvenient. Think of it like this: every time you choose to act with discipline, whether it's resisting a distraction, sticking to a routine, or holding your tongue in a heated moment, you're strengthening your ability to stay calm and confident, no matter what's happening around you. Marcus Aurelius put it simply, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. In other words, the habits you cultivate shape who you become. Self-discipline, then, isn't just about what you do, it's about who you're becoming. Here's a practical example. Imagine you've committed to a daily meditation practice. At first, it feels easy, you're motivated, and the benefits are clear. But after a few days, life gets busy. You're tired, distracted, or just not in the mood. This is where self-discipline steps in. It's not about waiting for motivation to strike, it's about showing up anyway. Even if it's just for 5 minutes, even if your mind wanders the entire time, the act of sitting down and doing it is a victory. Over time, these small, consistent actions build a foundation of calmness and confidence that carries over into every area of your life. So, here's a question to reflect on. What's one area of your life where you can practice greater self-discipline? It doesn't have to be something monumental. Maybe it's starting your day without scrolling through your phone, or committing to a weekly workout, or even just taking a few moments each evening to reflect on the day. Remember, self-discipline isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Every time you choose to act with intention, you're not just building a habit, you're building the kind of life that leaves a lasting impression. A failure isn't the opposite of success, it's part of the journey. This might sound counterintuitive, especially in a world that often equates failure with defeat. But the Stoics saw it differently. To them, failure wasn't something to fear or avoid. It was a teacher, a guide, and even a necessary step toward growth. Seneca, one of Stoicism's most eloquent voices, wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." What he's pointing to here is the transformative power of setbacks. Every misstep, every stumble carries the potential to teach us something invaluable if we're willing to listen. Let's take a closer look at this idea. The Stoics believed that failure isn't inherently bad or good, it's neutral. What gives it meaning is how we respond to it. When something doesn't go as planned, we have a choice. We can either let it define us, or we can use it as a stepping stone to something greater. Seneca put it this way: "The wise man is neither raised up by prosperity nor cast down by adversity." In other words, true resilience comes from seeing both success and failure as opportunities for learning, not as measures of your worth. Consider a modern example. Imagine you've poured your heart into a business idea only to see it fall apart. At first, it might feel like a crushing blow, but what if, instead of dwelling on the disappointment, you asked yourself, "What can I learn from this?" Maybe you discover gaps in your planning or realize the importance of building a stronger network. Perhaps you even stumble upon a completely new direction that you wouldn't have considered otherwise. This is the Stoic mindset in action, turning failure into a catalyst for growth. So here's a question to reflect on. What's one failure you can reframe as a lesson? It doesn't have to be something monumental. It could be a small mistake, a missed opportunity, or even a moment of self-doubt. The key is to shift your perspective, to ask not "Why did this happen to me?" but "What can I take from this experience?" By embracing failure as a teacher, you build resilience, deepen your wisdom, and open yourself to new possibilities. This is the Stoic way, not just to endure failure, but to thrive because of it. How often do you find yourself stressing over things you can't change? It's a question worth asking, because more often than not, we tie our sense of peace to outcomes we can't control. Stoicism offers a powerful antidote to this cycle of worry, the art of letting go. At its core, this isn't about giving up or being passive. It's about shifting your focus from the results to the effort itself. Epictetus, one of Stoicism's most practical voices, put it this way: "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens." In other words, do your part and then release your grip on the outcome. This mindset doesn't just free you from anxiety, it empowers you to act with clarity and purpose. Think about it this way: imagine you're preparing for a job interview. You've done your research, practiced your answers, and polished your resume. But no matter how much you prepare, you can't control the hiring manager's decision. You can't predict what questions they'll ask or how they'll interpret your responses. What you can control is how thoroughly you prepare and how authentically you show up. By focusing on your effort rather than the outcome, you're not just reducing stress, you're also setting yourself up to perform at your best. This is the Stoic approach to letting go, investing fully in what you can influence and then releasing what you can't. Epictetus takes this idea even further, reminding us freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. This might sound counterintuitive at first. After all, isn't it natural to want certain outcomes? Of course. But when we attach our happiness to those outcomes, we give away our power. We become prisoners to external events. Letting go, then, isn't about indifference, it's about reclaiming your freedom. It's about finding peace in the knowledge that you've done your best, regardless of the result. So, here's a question to reflect on. What's one thing you need to let go of to find peace? Maybe it's a situation at work, a relationship that's causing you stress, or even a personal goal you've been clinging to. The key is to shift your focus from the outcome to your own effort and intention. By practicing the art of letting go, you're not just building resilience, you're creating space for calmness, confidence, and a deeper sense of fulfillment. This is the Stoic path to inner freedom, and it starts with a single, powerful choice to release what you can't control and to embrace what's truly within your power. Gratitude is the antidote to anxiety. It's a simple yet profound truth that the Stoics understood centuries ago. In a world that often feels overwhelming, gratitude has the power to ground us, to shift our focus from what's lacking to what's already here. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's most revered voices, often reflected on this in his meditations. He wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." These words aren't just poetic, they're practical. They remind us that even in the midst of chaos, there's always something to be grateful for, and acknowledging that can bring a deep sense of calm. The Stoics didn't see gratitude as a fleeting emotion or a polite gesture. They saw it as a daily practice, a way of training the mind to focus on what's meaningful rather than what's missing. This practice isn't about ignoring challenges or pretending everything is perfect. It's about cultivating a mindset that helps you navigate life's ups and downs with greater resilience. Marcus Aurelius put it this way: "Do not indulge in dreams of having what you have not, but reckon up the chief of the blessings you do possess, and then thankfully remember how you would crave for them if they were not yours." In other words, gratitude isn't just about counting your blessings, it's about recognizing their value, especially when life feels uncertain. Let's make this tangible. Imagine starting your day by writing down 3 things you're grateful for. It could be as simple as a good night's sleep, a warm cup of coffee, or the sound of birds outside your window. This small act of reflection doesn't just set a positive tone for the day, it also rewires your brain to notice the good, even in difficult moments. Over time, this practice builds a reservoir of calmness and resilience, helping you face challenges with a steadier heart and a clearer mind. So here's a question to reflect on. What's one thing you're grateful for today? It doesn't have to be grandiose or life-changing. It might be the smile of a loved one, the comfort of your favorite sweater, or even the quiet moment you have to yourself. The key is to pause and truly notice it, to let that sense of gratitude sink in. Because when you do, you're not just appreciating the present moment, you're also building a foundation of calmness that can carry you through whatever comes your way. This is the Stoic art of gratitude, a practice that transforms not just how you see the world, but how you experience it. What's holding you back from pursuing your goals? For many of us, the answer is fear, whether it's fear of failure, rejection, or even the unknown. It's a universal experience, but the Stoics believed that fear doesn't have to control us. In fact, they saw fear as an invitation to examine, to understand, and ultimately to grow. Seneca, one of Stoicism's most insightful voices, wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." What he's pointing to here is a profound truth. Much of what we fear never actually happens. It's the stories we tell ourselves, the worst-case scenarios we play out in our minds that hold us back. The Stoic approach to fear, then, isn't about eliminating it, it's about confronting it with clarity and courage. At the heart of this practice is a simple but powerful tool: rational examination. The Stoics believed that fear loses its grip when we shine a light on it, breaking it down into its most basic components. Is this fear based on facts or assumptions? What's the worst that could happen, and how likely is it? By asking these questions, you strip fear of its power, transforming it from a paralyzing force into something you can understand and manage. Seneca put it this way: "He who is brave is free." When you face your fears head-on, you reclaim your freedom to act, to grow, and to live fully. Let's make this practical. Imagine you've been asked to give a presentation at work. The thought of standing in front of a room full of people makes your stomach turn. Instead of letting that fear dictate your actions, you pause and examine it. What's the worst that could happen? Maybe you stumble over your words or someone asks a question you can't answer. Now ask yourself, is that really so bad? And even if it happens, what's the likelihood that it will define you? By breaking the fear down, you begin to see it for what it is. An obstacle, yes, but one you can overcome. This is the Stoic mindset in action, facing fear not with avoidance, but with curiosity and resolve. So, here's a question to reflect on. What's one fear you can confront this week? It doesn't have to be something monumental. It could be as simple as making that phone call you've been avoiding or sharing an idea you've been hesitant to voice. The key is to start small, to take that first step toward understanding and overcoming what's holding you back. Because here's the truth, fear doesn't disappear on its own. It's only by facing it, by stepping into the discomfort, that you begin to build the kind of courage that changes everything. This is the Stoic way, and it's a path that leads not just to calmness, but to a life lived without regret. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing. In a world that often rewards quick responses and constant noise, silence can feel counterintuitive, almost uncomfortable. But the Stoics understood something profound. Silence isn't just the absence of words. It's a tool for clarity, confidence, and self-mastery. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, often reflected on this in his meditations. He wrote, "To refrain from imitation is the best revenge." At first glance, this might seem like a call to avoid copying others, but it's deeper than that. It's about choosing not to engage in the chaos, to rise above the noise, and to respond with intention rather than impulse. Silence, in this sense, becomes a form of strength, a way to reclaim your power in moments of tension or uncertainty. The Stoic practice of silence isn't about being passive or indifferent. It's about listening and observing before speaking, giving yourself the space to respond thoughtfully rather than react emotionally. Think about it this way. When you're in the middle of an argument, emotions run high and words can easily escalate the situation. But what if, instead of firing back, you paused? What if you chose to stay silent, to let the other person speak, and to truly listen? This isn't about conceding or avoiding conflict. It's about creating the mental space to respond with clarity and composure. As Marcus Aurelius put it, you don't have to turn this into something. It doesn't have to upset you. Silence then becomes a shield, a way to protect your peace and maintain control over your emotions. Let's bring this into a real-life scenario. Imagine you're in a heated discussion with a colleague. They raise their voice, criticize your ideas, and perhaps even make personal jabs. Your instinct might be to defend yourself, to match their tone, or to prove them wrong. But what happens if you choose silence instead? By holding your tongue, you're not just diffusing the tension, you're also giving yourself the opportunity to think clearly. You're showing that you're in control of your emotions, and that's a kind of confidence that speaks louder than any words ever could. Over time, this practice builds a quiet resilience, a sense of calm that others can't help but notice. So, here's a question to reflect on. When was the last time you chose silence over reaction? It might have been during a disagreement, a moment of frustration, or even just a conversation where you felt the urge to interrupt. The next time you find yourself in a similar situation, consider pausing not as a sign of weakness, but as an act of strength. Because silence isn't just about what you don't say. It's about what you choose to preserve, your peace, your clarity, and your ability to respond with confidence. This is the Stoic art of silence, a practice that transforms not just how you communicate, but how you navigate the world. How do you handle success without letting it define you? It's a question worth asking because while failure often teaches us resilience, success can be just as challenging to navigate. The Stoics believed that how we handle triumph reveals just as much about our character as how we handle adversity. For them, success wasn't something to cling to or boast about. It was an opportunity to practice humility and perspective. Seneca, one of Stoicism's most eloquent voices, wrote, "The greatest wealth is a poverty of desires." What he's pointing to here is the idea that true fulfillment doesn't come from external achievements, but from an inner sense of balance and groundedness. The Stoic approach to success is rooted in a simple but profound truth. All things are temporary. Fame, fortune, accolades, they come and go. What remains constant is your character. Seneca often warned against the dangers of becoming too attached to success, reminding us that fortune is fickle, and the higher she lifts us, the harder we fall. This isn't meant to discourage ambition or celebration. It's a call to remain mindful of the impermanence of external rewards. By staying grounded, you free yourself from the roller coaster of highs and lows, finding stability in who you are rather than what you achieve. Let's make this practical. Imagine you've just received a promotion at work. It's a moment to celebrate, but it's also a moment to reflect. How do you respond? Do you let the title or recognition inflate your ego, or do you see it as an opportunity to serve and grow? The Stoics would encourage you to focus on the latter, to use your success as a platform to contribute, to lead with humility, and to remain connected to your values. After all, success isn't just about reaching the top, it's about how you carry yourself along the way. So, here's a question to reflect on. How can you stay grounded in your achievements? It might help to remember that success, like everything else, is fleeting. What endures is the way you choose to live with integrity, gratitude, and a sense of purpose. By embracing the Stoic perspective, you transform success from something that defines you into something that inspires you to be better. And in that shift, you'll find a deeper kind of fulfillment, one that isn't tied to external validation, but to the quiet confidence of knowing you're living a life of meaning. What would you do differently if you knew your time was limited? It's a question that cuts through the noise of daily life and forces us to confront what truly matters. The Stoics had a practice for this, one that might sound somber at first but is profoundly liberating: Memento Mori, or remember that you must die. At its core, it's not about dwelling on death. It's about using the awareness of life's impermanence to live with greater intention, confidence, and presence. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." These words aren't meant to frighten us, they're a call to action. They remind us that life is finite, and every moment is an opportunity to align our actions with what we value most. The practice of Memento Mori isn't about fear, it's about clarity. When we remember that our time is limited, the trivial distractions that often consume us, whether it's scrolling endlessly on our phones, worrying about what others think, or putting off what truly matters, start to lose their grip. Suddenly, the things that once seemed so important fade into the background, and what's left is a sharper focus on what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius put it this way: think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life, now take what's left and live it properly. This isn't morbid, it's empowering. It's about stripping away the noise and living with purpose. Let's make this tangible. Imagine you're at the end of your life, looking back on the choices you made. What would you regret not doing? Would it be the trips you didn't take, the conversations you avoided, or the dreams you left unfulfilled? Now, flip the script. What if you started living as if this were your last year, month, or even week? How would that change the way you spend your time, the way you treat others, or the risks you take? This is the power of Memento Mori. It's not about living in fear of the end. It's about living in gratitude for the present. So, here's a question to reflect on. What's one thing you'd change if you lived with more urgency? Maybe it's reconnecting with an old friend, pursuing a passion you've been putting off, or simply being more present with the people you love. The key is to start small, to take one step today that aligns with the life you want to look back on without regret. Because when you live with the awareness that time is finite, you don't just become more confident and present, you become unforgettable. This is the Stoic gift of Memento Mori, and it's a practice that transforms not just how you live, but how you see the world. True connection comes from understanding, not judgment. It's a simple idea, but one that can transform the way we relate to others. Stoicism, often seen as a philosophy of inner strength, also offers profound wisdom for building meaningful and unforgettable relationships. At its core, the Stoic approach to relationships is rooted in empathy and virtue. Epictetus, one of Stoicism's most practical voices, put it this way: what upsets people is not things themselves, but their judgments about these things. In other words, the way we perceive and respond to others shapes the quality of our connections. By focusing on understanding rather than judging, we create space for deeper, more authentic relationships. Let's break this down. The Stoics believed that every person we encounter, whether a loved one, a colleague, or even a stranger, is doing the best they can with the knowledge and resources they have. This perspective doesn't mean excusing harmful behavior or ignoring differences. It means approaching others with compassion and curiosity. Epictetus reminds us, if a person gave your body to any stranger he met on his way, you would certainly be angry. And do you feel no shame in handing over your own mind to be confused and mystified by anyone who happens to verbally attack you? What he's pointing to here is the importance of maintaining our own emotional balance while engaging with others. When we let go of judgment and focus on understanding, we not only improve our relationships, we also protect our inner peace. Consider this example. Imagine you're in a disagreement with a close friend. Tensions are high and you're tempted to defend your position or point out their flaws. But what if instead you paused and asked yourself, what might they be feeling right now? What's driving their perspective? By shifting your focus from judgment to empathy, you open the door to a more constructive conversation. This isn't about being a pushover or avoiding conflict, it's about approaching the situation with kindness and a genuine desire to connect. It's in these moments, when we choose understanding over ego, that relationships deepen and become truly unforgettable. So, here's a question to reflect on. How can you deepen your connections with others? Maybe it's by listening more intently, by offering support without expecting anything in return, or simply by being present in your interactions. The key is to start small, to notice where judgment creeps in, and to gently replace it with understanding. Because at the end of the day, the most meaningful relationships aren't built on perfection, they're built on empathy, virtue, and the willingness to see others as they truly are. This is the Stoic path to connection, and it's one that transforms not just how we relate to others, but how we experience the world. Even Stoics know the value of a good laugh. At first glance, humor might seem out of place in a philosophy often associated with seriousness and self-discipline. But the Stoics understood that laughter isn't just a release, it's a tool for perspective, calmness, and even confidence. Seneca, one of Stoicism's most insightful voices, wrote, "It is more fitting for a man to laugh at life than to lament over it." This isn't about trivializing life's challenges, it's about recognizing that humor can help us navigate them with grace and resilience. When we laugh, we step back from the weight of our problems, even if just for a moment, and see them from a fresh angle. It's a reminder that life, for all its complexities, doesn't always have to be so heavy. The Stoic practice of humor isn't about cracking jokes at every turn or using laughter to avoid reality. Instead, it's about cultivating a lightness of being, an ability to find joy and levity even in difficult moments. Seneca often highlighted the importance of not taking life too seriously, not because it isn't meaningful, but because doing so can cloud our judgment and drain our energy. He wrote, "The wise man can be cheerful even in the midst of adversity, and at all times will prefer to be useful rather than merely serious." In other words, humor isn't a distraction. It's a way to stay grounded, to keep our minds clear, and to approach challenges with a balanced perspective. Let's make this practical. Imagine you're in a tense situation, maybe a heated discussion with a colleague or a moment of frustration at home. Instead of letting the tension build, what if you lighten the mood with a well-timed joke or a playful comment? This doesn't mean avoiding the issue or making light of something important. It's about breaking the tension, creating space for connection, and reminding everyone, including yourself, that no situation is so dire it can't benefit from a little levity. Humor, in this sense, becomes a bridge, a way to diffuse conflict, foster understanding, and maintain your composure. So, here's a question to reflect on. How can you use humor to lighten your day? Maybe it's sharing a funny story with a friend, finding the absurdity in a frustrating situation, or simply laughing at yourself when things don't go as planned. The key is to embrace humor not as an escape but as a tool for resilience, because when you can laugh, even in the face of life's challenges, you're not just finding joy, you're building the kind of calmness and confidence that leaves a lasting impression. This is the Stoic art of humor, and it's a practice that transforms not just how you see the world, but how you move through it. How do you react when life takes an unexpected turn? It's a question that reveals a lot about where we place our focus on resisting what's happening or accepting it as part of life's natural rhythm. Stoicism teaches us that change isn't just inevitable, it's essential. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reflected deeply on this idea. He wrote, "The universe is change, our life is what our thoughts make it." At first glance, this might seem abstract, but when you sit with it, the message is clear. Change is the very fabric of existence, and our ability to adapt to it determines how we experience life. The Stoic approach to change isn't about passive resignation. It's about recognizing that change is a constant, and rather than fighting it, we can learn to flow with it. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, what stands in the way becomes the way. In other words, the obstacles and shifts we face aren't disruptions to our path, they are the path. By embracing this mindset, we transform our relationship with change, seeing it not as a threat but as an opportunity for growth. This shift in perspective is where calmness and adaptability begin. Let's make this practical. Imagine you've just moved to a new city. At first, everything feels unfamiliar, the streets, the people, even the rhythm of daily life. It's easy to feel overwhelmed or to long for the comfort of what you've left behind. But what if, instead of resisting the change, you leaned into it? What if you saw this as a chance to explore, to meet new people, to discover parts of yourself you didn't know existed? This is the Stoic way of handling change, not by clinging to the past, but by opening yourself to the possibilities of the present. So, here's a question to reflect on. What's one change you can embrace with openness? It might be something as small as a shift in your daily routine or as significant as a new chapter in your career. The key is to approach it not with fear but with curiosity, to ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I grow through this experience? Because when you do, you're not just adapting to change, you're thriving because of it. This is the Stoic art of embracing change, a practice that turns life's uncertainties into opportunities for calmness, confidence, and growth. Writing down your thoughts can be a powerful tool for clarity. It's like holding up a mirror to your mind, allowing you to see your worries, hopes, and ideas with fresh eyes. The Stoics understood this deeply, and they turned journaling into a cornerstone of their philosophy. For them, it wasn't just about recording events, it was about self-examination, growth, and cultivating a calm, confident mindset. Seneca, one of Stoicism's most influential voices, often emphasized the importance of reflection in his letters. He wrote, "Each day, acquire something that will fortify you against poverty, against death, indeed against other misfortunes as well." What he's pointing to here is the transformative power of daily reflection. By taking the time to examine your thoughts and actions, you build resilience and self-awareness, two qualities that are essential for navigating life's challenges. The Stoic practice of journaling isn't about writing pages and pages of text. It's about intentional reflection, asking yourself questions like, what did I do well today? Where did I fall short? What can I learn from this experience? Seneca believed that this kind of self-examination was the key to living a virtuous and fulfilling life. He wrote, "Assess your progress not by what you've achieved, but by how you've grown." This simple shift in perspective from focusing on outcomes to focusing on growth can have a profound impact on your confidence and sense of purpose. Let's make this tangible. Imagine you've had a tough day at work. You're feeling frustrated, maybe even a little defeated. Instead of letting those emotions simmer, you sit down with your journal and write about what happened. As you put your thoughts on paper, you start to notice patterns. Maybe you realize that your frustration stems from a fear of not being good enough, or that your reaction was influenced by external pressures. By identifying these insights, you're not just processing your emotions, you're also gaining clarity and control. This is the power of journaling. It turns confusion into understanding and chaos into calm. So here's a question to reflect on. What's one insight you've gained from journaling? It might be a recurring thought, a new perspective, or even a small moment of gratitude. The key is to make this practice your own, to use it as a tool for self-discovery and growth. Whether you write a few sentences or a few pages, the act of putting your thoughts on paper can help you uncover the calmness, confidence, and clarity you need to live a life that's truly unforgettable. Time is the one resource you can't get back. No matter how much money, influence, or energy you have, you can never reclaim the moments you've lost. This is why the Stoics placed such a profound emphasis on using time wisely, not just to be productive, but to live with purpose. Seneca, one of Stoicism's greatest thinkers, put it starkly: "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." His words cut straight to the heart of the matter. Life is long enough if we use it well. But all too often, we fritter away our days on distractions, busy work, or things that don't align with what truly matters. The Stoic approach to time management isn't about squeezing every second for maximum efficiency. It's about aligning your actions with your values so that even the smallest moments contribute to a life well lived. Seneca often compared time to a flowing river, reminding us that it moves relentlessly forward, carrying away what we fail to grasp. He wrote, "You are living as if destined to live forever. Your own frailty never occurs to you. You don't notice how much time has already passed, but squander it as though you had a full and overflowing supply." This isn't meant to scare us into frantic activity. It's a call to reflect on how we're spending our days. Are we investing our time in what truly matters, or are we letting it slip through our fingers on things that don't align with our goals or values? The Stoics believed that every moment is an opportunity to practice virtue, to deepen relationships, or to work towards something meaningful. When we waste time, we're not just losing hours, we're losing the chance to live with intention. Let's make this practical. Imagine you're at the end of a long day, and instead of scrolling through social media for hours, you set aside 30 minutes to read a book that inspires you, or to have a meaningful conversation with someone you care about. That small shift, choosing what matters over what's easy, is the essence of Stoic time management. It's not about filling every moment with activity. It's about ensuring that the activities you choose align with who you want to be and what you want to achieve. By cutting out distractions and focusing on what truly matters, you're not just managing your time, you're shaping your life. So, here's a question to reflect on. How can you make better use of your time today? It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. Maybe it's setting aside your phone for an hour to focus on a project, or carving out a few minutes to journal and reflect on your day. The key is to start small, to notice where your time is slipping away, and to gently redirect it toward what matters most. Because when you use your time with intention, you're not just living, you're thriving. This is the Stoic art of time management, and it's a practice that transforms not just how you spend your days, but how you experience your life. How often do you catch yourself comparing your life to someone else's? It's a question that strikes a chord because, let's face it, envy is something we've all grappled with at some point. Whether it's scrolling through social media, hearing about a friend's promotion, or even just noticing how someone seems to have it all together, that pang of jealousy can sneak up on us. But what if there was a way to not only overcome envy, but to transform it into something positive? That's where Stoicism comes in. The Stoics didn't just see envy as a negative emotion. They saw it as an opportunity to reflect, to grow, and to refocus on what truly matters. Epictetus, one of Stoicism's most practical voices, had a simple yet profound take on envy. He said, "He who is not contented with what he has would not be contented with what he would like to have." At first, this might sound harsh, but it's actually liberating. What Epictetus is pointing to is the idea that envy isn't about what others have, it's about what we feel we lack. And chasing after more, whether it's wealth, status, or recognition, won't bring us the contentment we're seeking. Instead, the Stoics teach us to focus on our own path, to cultivate gratitude for what we already have, and to find fulfillment in our own progress. Let's make this tangible. Imagine you're at a social gathering and someone shares exciting news about their career or a personal achievement. Instead of feeling that familiar twinge of envy, what if you chose to celebrate their success genuinely? This doesn't mean pretending you're not human, it's about shifting your perspective. By acknowledging their achievement without comparing it to your own journey, you're not just practicing kindness, you're also freeing yourself from the grip of envy. This is the Stoic way, recognizing that someone else's success doesn't diminish your own. So, here's a question to reflect on. What's one thing you can appreciate about your own journey? Maybe it's a skill you've developed, a relationship you've nurtured, or even just the resilience you've shown in facing challenges. By focusing on your own progress and practicing gratitude, you're not just overcoming envy, you're building a deeper sense of self-awareness and confidence. This is the Stoic path to contentment, and it starts with a simple choice to look inward, not outward. Nature has a way of putting things into perspective, doesn't it? Whether it's the quiet rustle of leaves in the wind, the vastness of an open sky, or the steady rhythm of waves crashing on the shore, there's something inherently grounding about being in nature. The Stoics understood this deeply. For them, connecting with the natural world wasn't just a leisure activity, it was a way to align with the natural order of life, to find calmness, and to gain a broader perspective on our place in the universe. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reflected on this connection. He wrote, "Look at the stars, how they shine and sparkle, and how they remind us of our smallness in the grand scheme of things." This isn't meant to diminish our importance, but to remind us that we're part of something much larger, something timeless and unchanging. The Stoic practice of aligning with nature isn't about escaping reality, it's about grounding yourself in it. When you step outside and immerse yourself in the natural world, you're reminded that life, in all its complexity, follows a rhythm, a cycle of growth, change, and renewal. This awareness can be incredibly calming, especially when life feels overwhelming. Marcus Aurelius often encouraged himself to live in harmony with nature, recognizing that doing so brings a sense of balance and peace. It's not about controlling the chaos but finding stillness within it. Here's a simple way to bring this into your own life. The next time you feel stressed or stuck, try taking a walk outside. It doesn't have to be a long hike or a trip to a remote forest. Just a few minutes in a park or even your backyard can make a difference. As you walk, notice the details, the way the sunlight filters through the trees, the sound of birdsong, or the feel of the ground beneath your feet. These small observations can help you reconnect with the present moment and quiet the noise in your mind. This is the Stoic way of using nature as a tool for clarity and calmness. So here's a thought to carry with you. How can you spend more time in nature this week? Maybe it's a morning walk, an evening stroll, or even just sitting by a window with a view of the outdoors. The key is to make it intentional, to use these moments not as an escape, but as a way to realign with the natural flow of life. Because when you do, you're not just enjoying the beauty of the world around you, you're also cultivating a deeper sense of calm and perspective that stays with you long after you step back inside. Every decision is an opportunity to practice virtue. That's the Stoic approach to decision-making, a philosophy that turns everyday choices into moments of growth, clarity, and confidence. The Stoics believed that how we make decisions reveals a lot about our character and our commitment to living a meaningful life. Seneca, one of Stoicism's most influential voices, wrote, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare, it is because we do not dare that they are difficult." What he's pointing to here is the idea that decision-making isn't just about outcomes, it's about the courage and wisdom we bring to the process. At the heart of Stoic decision-making is the principle of aligning your choices with your values. It's not about what's easiest or most appealing in the moment, but what reflects who you are and what you stand for. Seneca often emphasized the importance of thoughtful choices, reminding us that the wise man is neither raised up by prosperity nor cast down by adversity. In other words, true confidence comes from knowing that your decisions are rooted in virtue, whether they lead to success or failure. This mindset frees you from the fear of making the wrong choice, because what matters most is the integrity behind it. Let's make this practical. Imagine you're deciding between two job offers. One offers a higher salary and impressive title, but the work doesn't align with your passions or values. The other pays less but feels deeply meaningful and aligns with your long-term goals. The Stoic approach isn't about choosing the safer or more prestigious option. It's about asking yourself, which choice reflects my values? Which path will allow me to grow and contribute in a way that feels authentic? By focusing on these questions, you're not just making a decision, you're practicing virtue. So here's a question to reflect on. What's one decision you can make with greater clarity today? It doesn't have to be a life-changing choice. It might be as simple as choosing how to spend your evening, how to respond to a difficult situation, or even what to prioritize in your day. The key is to approach it with intention, to ask yourself what truly matters here. By aligning your decisions with your values, you're not just building confidence, you're creating a life that's rooted in purpose and authenticity. This is the Stoic art of decision-making, and it's a practice that transforms not just how you choose, but how you live. How do you handle moments of loneliness? It's a question many of us wrestle with at some point, especially in a world that often equates being alone with being lonely. But the Stoics saw solitude differently, not as something to fear or avoid, but as an opportunity for reflection, growth, and even strength. Epictetus, one of Stoicism's most practical voices, put it this way: "No man is free who is not master of himself." What he's pointing to here is the idea that true freedom comes from self-reliance, and solitude can be the perfect environment to cultivate it. Instead of resisting loneliness, the Stoics teach us to embrace it as a chance to connect with ourselves, to reflect on our values, and to build the kind of inner calm that no external circumstance can shake. The Stoic practice of embracing solitude isn't about isolating yourself from the world. It's about using alone time as a tool for self-discovery. Epictetus often reminded his students, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Solitude gives us the space to ask those big questions. Who do I want to be? What truly matters to me? How can I live in alignment with my values? These moments of quiet reflection aren't just an escape from noise, they're an invitation to deepen your understanding of yourself and your place in the world. It's in these moments that you can recharge, recalibrate, and return to your life with renewed focus and clarity. Here's an example. Imagine you've had a long week filled with social obligations, work demands, and constant noise. You finally find yourself alone on a quiet Saturday morning. Instead of filling the silence with distractions, scrolling through your phone, turning on the TV, you choose to sit with it. You brew a cup of tea, sit by the window, and simply let your thoughts flow. Maybe you journal about your week, reflecting on what went well and what you'd like to improve. Or maybe you just sit quietly, noticing the rhythm of your breath and the stillness around you. This simple act of being present with yourself can be incredibly grounding. It's not about escaping loneliness, it's about transforming it into a source of strength. So, here's a thought to reflect on. How can you turn loneliness into an opportunity for growth? It might start with carving out small moments of solitude in your day, whether it's a quiet walk, a few minutes of meditation, or simply sitting with your thoughts over a cup of coffee. The key is to see solitude not as something to avoid, but as a chance to reconnect with yourself. Because when you do, you're not just building resilience, you're cultivating the kind of calm and confidence that stays with you, no matter where life takes you. Money can't buy happiness, but it can buy freedom. It's a phrase we've all heard, and there's truth to it. Wealth, in the Stoic view, isn't inherently good or bad, it's a tool. It's how we choose to use it that defines its value. Seneca, one of Stoicism's most insightful voices, wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." What he's pointing to here is a profound truth. The pursuit of wealth for its own sake can trap us in a cycle of endless wanting, while using wealth as a means to live a meaningful life can bring true freedom. The Stoics didn't reject wealth, but they warned against letting it control us. Instead, they encouraged us to see it as a resource, one that can support our well-being and help us contribute to something greater than ourselves. Seneca often warned about the dangers of greed, reminding us that he who is brave is also free. When we're consumed by the desire for more money, more possessions, more status, we become slaves to those desires. We lose sight of what truly matters, our values, our relationships, and our ability to live with purpose. The Stoic approach to wealth isn't about abandoning it, it's about holding it lightly. It's about recognizing that wealth can enhance our lives, but it can't define them. This perspective allows us to enjoy the benefits of material comfort without becoming attached to it. Let's make this practical. Imagine you've received a bonus at work. Instead of immediately spending it on something fleeting like a luxury item you don't truly need, you decide to use it in a way that aligns with your values. Maybe you donate to a cause you care about, or invest in learning a new skill, or even set it aside to create more freedom in your life. This isn't just about generosity, it's about intentionality. By using your resources thoughtfully, you're not just managing your wealth, you're shaping your life. This is the Stoic way, seeing wealth as a means to live with greater purpose, not as an end in itself. So, here's a question to reflect on. How can you use your resources more meaningfully? It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. Maybe it's supporting a local charity, helping a friend in need, or even just setting aside time to invest in your own growth. The key is to shift your focus from accumulation to contribution, to ask yourself, how can I use what I have to make a difference? Because when you do, you're not just building wealth, you're building a life that's rich in meaning and connection. This is the Stoic approach to material wealth, a perspective that transforms how we see, use, and value what we have. How do you move forward after making a mistake? Regret can feel like a heavy weight, anchoring you to the past and clouding your ability to see a way forward. But the Stoics offer a different perspective, one that transforms regret from a source of pain into a tool for growth. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "The past is gone, the future is uncertain, the present is all we truly have." These words remind us that dwelling on regret doesn't change what's already happened. What it can do, however, is teach us something valuable if we're willing to listen. The Stoic approach to regret isn't about ignoring it or brushing it aside. It's about using it as a mirror, reflecting on what went wrong and how you can grow from the experience. Marcus Aurelius often encouraged himself to turn obstacles into fuel. In other words, regret isn't a dead end, it's a detour pointing you toward a better path. But here's the key, this reflection must be paired with self-compassion. Beating yourself up over past mistakes only keeps you stuck. Instead, the Stoics teach us to forgive ourselves, to recognize that we're human, and to focus on what we can do differently moving forward. Let's make this tangible. Imagine you've said something hurtful to a friend in the heat of the moment. The regret sets in almost immediately, and you're left wondering how to repair the damage. The Stoic way isn't to wallow in guilt or replay the moment endlessly in your mind. It's to take responsibility, apologize sincerely, learn from the experience, and then let it go. Marcus Aurelius put it simply, waste no more time arguing what a good person should be one. This isn't about perfection, it's about progress. By addressing the situation with honesty and humility, you're not just mending a relationship, you're also building the kind of character that helps you navigate future challenges with greater wisdom and calmness. So here's a thought to carry with you. What's one regret you can release today? It doesn't have to be something monumental. Maybe it's a small mistake at work, a missed opportunity, or even a moment of self-doubt. The key is to reflect on it with kindness, to ask yourself what you've learned, and then to gently let it go. Because when you do, you're not just freeing yourself from the past, you're creating space to move forward with clarity and confidence. This is the Stoic way to handle regret, and it's a practice that turns what feels like a burden into a stepping stone for growth. Aging is inevitable, but how we age is up to us. This simple truth lies at the heart of the Stoic approach to growing older. Instead of resisting the passage of time or clinging to youth, the Stoics teach us to embrace aging as a natural and even beautiful part of life. Seneca, one of Stoicism's most eloquent voices, wrote, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." These words remind us that aging isn't a decline, it's an opportunity to deepen our wisdom, refine our character, and live with greater intention. For the Stoics, every stage of life, including the later years, holds its own unique gifts and lessons. Seneca often reflected on the value of aging, calling it a time of harvesting. He wrote, "Old age is a time of gathering the fruits of a well-lived life." What he's pointing to here is the idea that the years we've lived aren't just a count of time, they're a collection of experiences, relationships, and insights that shape who we are. The wrinkles, the gray hairs, the moments of reflection, these aren't signs of decline but markers of a life rich with meaning. Aging, in this sense, becomes a testament to resilience, a reminder that we've weathered storms and emerged stronger. Let's make this practical. Imagine you're in your 50s or 60s and you find yourself mentoring a younger colleague. Instead of focusing on the differences in age or experience, you see this as an opportunity to share what you've learned, not just about work, but about life. You offer guidance not as someone who has all the answers, but as someone who's navigated challenges and come out wiser. This act of mentoring isn't just a gift to them, it's a reminder of your own growth and the value you bring to the world. This is the Stoic way of aging, not as a passive process, but as an active, meaningful journey. So, here's a question to reflect on. How can you embrace aging with confidence? Maybe it's by sharing your stories, by learning something new, or simply by appreciating the wisdom that comes with time. The key is to see aging not as something to fear, but as a chapter full of potential, one where you can continue to grow, contribute, and live with purpose. This is the Stoic art of aging, and it's a practice that transforms not just how we see the years ahead, but how we experience them. How do you stay grounded when the future feels unclear? It's a question that feels especially relevant in a world where change is the only constant. Uncertainty can be unsettling, but the Stoics offer a powerful way to navigate it by anchoring yourself in the present moment. Epictetus, one of Stoicism's most practical teachers, once said, "We should always be asking ourselves, is this something that is or is not in my control?" This simple question is the key to finding calmness in the face of the unknown. When you focus on what you can control, your thoughts, your actions, your response to the present moment, you free yourself from the weight of what you can't. Epictetus also taught that adaptability is a form of strength. He said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's about recognizing that uncertainty is a natural part of life. Instead of resisting it, you can learn to flow with it, adjusting your sails as the winds of change shift. Think of a tree in a storm. It doesn't fight the wind. It bends, adapts, and survives. That's the Stoic mindset, flexible, resilient, and rooted in the present. Let's make this tangible. Imagine you're planning a major life change, a career shift, a move to a new city, or even starting a family. It's natural to feel anxious about the unknowns. But what if, instead of fixating on every possible outcome, you focused on what you can do today? Maybe it's updating your resume, researching neighborhoods, or having an honest conversation with your partner. By taking small, intentional steps, you're not just preparing for the future, you're building confidence in your ability to handle whatever comes your way. So here's a thought to reflect on. How can you find peace in uncertainty? Maybe it's by journaling about your fears and turning them into actionable steps, or simply by taking a few deep breaths when the weight of the unknown feels heavy. The key is to remember that uncertainty isn't the enemy. It's an invitation to grow, to adapt, and to live fully in the moment. This is the Stoic way to handle uncertainty, and it's a practice that transforms not just how you face the unknown, but how you embrace the journey of life itself. Throughout this journey, we've explored how Stoic wisdom can help us cultivate calmness, confidence, and presence, three traits that not only shape how we navigate life's challenges, but also how we're remembered by others. These qualities don't come from external validation or fleeting achievements. They grow from within, rooted in self-awareness, virtue, and the choices we make every day. Whether it's finding stillness in the chaos, standing firm in your values, or showing up fully in every moment, these Stoic principles offer a roadmap to becoming the best version of yourself. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's most enduring voices, once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good person should be one." This simple yet profound statement captures the essence of Stoicism. It's not about theory or debate, it's about action. It's about embodying calmness in the face of adversity, confidence in your character, and presence in your connections. These aren't just traits, they're practices, ways of living that transform not only how you see the world, but how the world sees you. So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with this question. How can you bring these Stoic secrets into your own life? Maybe it's by practicing gratitude, by embracing change with curiosity, or simply by choosing to respond with kindness when it's easier to react with frustration. The beauty of Stoicism is that it's not about perfection, it's about progress. Every small step you take toward calmness, confidence, and presence is a step toward a life that's not only unforgettable but deeply fulfilling. If this video resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. How do you plan to apply these Stoic principles in your daily life? Share your reflections in the comments below. And if you found this content valuable, consider subscribing for more insights on living with purpose and resilience. Together, let's continue this journey toward a life of calm, confidence, and presence, one Stoic step at a time.